Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. We are on episode 13 of Ace of the Diamond, and oh my gosh, Chris, I just freaking love him. He may be my favorite character so far. I really, really love Chris. I have a penchant for athletes who have had a sports injury in a sports anime, and Chris, and he has such the personality that he's a good mentor, he's a good player, he's got a little dash of crazy to him. He's definitely one of my favorites. But yeah, so they're facing this team right now, and old Zizen, this guy that's just a jerk and is wanting to ruin Chris. I'm like, what is your beef with him? What history do you two have? Because he's been pretty lax this whole game, and then in the last episode, he really was like, no, that's it. We're not going to lose to these guys, and started getting serious. So I'm very curious. He clearly knows Chris from the past, but the how is what's curious. So I don't know. I guess we're gonna find out this episode. But yeah, Sawamura. Who knew this whole time going into this series? I'm like, oh well, him and Miyuki, they're gonna become a battery. They're gonna be together most of this first part of the season. Nope, it's him and Chris, and I really like it. And that makes me sad because Chris makes it out like it's going to be his last game, and I'm like, no, I don't want that to happen, Chris. So I don't want him to stop playing. I don't want this to be like his only, like, usually you save like these big moments for later on in the series, but if this is Chris's last run and it's right off the bat, no pun intended, that's really sad. So I don't know. You're in the First String is the name of this episode. And so something is gonna, I feel like the last couple of episodes I've done, it's been 3-episode arcs, and this is the first one that I think this is the ending episode for the arc, and then we're going into something new. So it's gonna be weird coming into this and starting a new arc after this episode and not know how it will conclude until we watch it, but so it goes. So yeah, let's do this, guys. Let's dive in and see what happens. We are going to start episode 3, or 13, not 3, of Ace of the Diamond here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Oh man, that was like a gauntlet of feels. A gauntlet of feels in these episodes. These 3 were really, really good. Man, the training camp, like, they're just like pummeling you hard with the feelings in this arc. Oh man. So lots of stuff to talk about in this. I like, there's so much to talk about. I made my little notes here on my paper here. I really like the dynamic between Furuya and Sawamura. I really like it because they're not antagonistic towards each other in any way. They just banter back and forth, but they're very, very different people. And there's a lot of differences between them. Like, they don't complement each other really at all. They're opposites, polar opposites. Sawamura is instantly in the midst of all these people and easily makes friends and is just optimistic and extroverted and like overeager with everything. And Furuya, like, Miyuki kind of figures out that Furuya is definitely more introverted and standoffish and quiet and is ferociously fierce about wanting to play baseball and has a ferocity to him, but it's a very like cold and quiet. And the thing of it is that Miyuki kind of seems to relate to him because Miyuki and Furuya both seem kind of, even though Miyuki is like a troll, a straight up troll, and just messes with everybody, he's kind of standoffish too. So that point where he like talks to Furuya by himself, he's like, that's not a bad thing. He's like, you don't have to change the way you are. I really liked that because when he was talking about Sawamura integrating and becoming friends with the upperclassmen, you could tell Furuya was just standing there like, but that's not me and I don't want to do that. And then Miyuki's like, you don't have to. You can be yourself. And I appreciated that conversation that they had. Zizen is such an interesting character too. I love that dynamic of him and Chris being the foils, like the friends from high school that decided to go to different schools. And I like that it was something so simple. Zizen's like, oh, I don't want to travel that far away from home. I can't travel that far away from home. And it's like, that's such a real life thing that there's lots of people that, they don't go off to big universities and stuff hundreds of miles away. They're like, I can't afford to do that. I've got to stick, whether it's for family reasons or financial reasons or whatever. They're like, I can't move away. I've got to stay here. That's such a real excuse and reason. It's not even an excuse, it's a reason. And I really like that. But I like that both of them we're gonna go to nationals together, and then both of them overexerted themselves. And with Zeisen it's his knee, and with Chris it's his shoulder. But you can just tell like the pain both of them have and the regret that they can't play to their fullest against each other, especially Zeisen. Like that when Sawamura threw that pitch, the best pitch, and oh my god, when Chris is like, that's the best pitch I ever caught, it's like, it's like all the feels. It's like all the feels in once. He's like, the best pitch I've ever caught in a game. It's like, and of course he doesn't tell Sawamura that, because that would just wreck the poor boy. Wreck him. But yeah, so when they were choosing which players to bring on the string, I like that we don't get to hear who Miyuki's pick was, but it's clear one of them was Chris. One of them was Chris. Now, whether he wanted Chris and Sawamura to both come, maybe. Could have been both Chris and Sawamura, but the fact that Chris, you could tell Chris was one of his picks because he wanted to compete against him for catcher. And Miyuki kind of seems distraught. Like when Miyuki's upset, you really can tell in this anime, because he's not good at hiding when he's not happy about something. And that was interesting. You could tell that he's like, I like that Miyuki kind of steps up. And Sawamura, how much he's grown over these past like 6 or 7 episodes. Sawamura went from somebody who completely disrespected Chris and thought he was weird to like thinks he's the best thing since sliced bread. And it's like, yes, Chris Senpai is the best thing, of course. And so he feels really bad. He's like, well, it should have been you picked. You're the whole reason that we did good. It wasn't me, it was you. But I mean, the coach essentially, I think, made that choice for 2 reasons. One, because as he tells Chris, he's like, you have a future with baseball. You need to heal your shoulder and not waste it. And so that's reason 1. But reason 2, another reason I really like the start of the training arc, is him being like, we have to prep the next generation of players. Like, we can't have our entire first string be third years, because then our second years and first years aren't going to get the experience of playing. So I see why he chose Haruichi and Sawamura. Haruichi, I mean, his batting average alone, but then Sawamura because of his potential as a pitcher. So interesting with that. But I like that Miyuki says, we're going to fight for Chris. We're going to fight for the ones that couldn't be here. We got chosen, so it'd be disrespectful for us to quit or complain about it, because those people can't get that shot. So we need to respect the coach's decision and play the best we can to do for those that weren't picked, what we can do. And I was like, I really, really like that. My handwriting is also absolutely atrocious. But yeah, Sawamura just having so much respect for Chris Senpai. And I love that Chris gets to stay on as a coach, like kind of as a side manager. I love that. I'm like, we just got introduced to this character who's awesome, has all this baseball knowledge. There's no way we're just relegating him to the back. No. And so, talking about the styles of our pitchers, where we have Furuya, who does the fastballs. We have Sawamura, who has the unpredictable, windy, wavy balls. And then Tamba, we'll talk about Tamba, and his breaking balls. Like, just interesting. So, I like that Kuramochi kind of just does that little comparison when the summer training camp. Oh my god, I can't even, that training camp is intense. Like, I was thinking the whole time watching of all the running that they're doing and how much running that is. I'd be dead. There's no way. But yeah, just conditioning them and showing as the week goes on just the difference between the first year and the third years, like how much conditioning they've had and what difference it's made. Like, that was amazing. And then even the third years, but when the coach steps up, that incredible. But I like that Kuramochi makes the comment. He's like, yeah, those brothers, Haruichi and Ryosuke, they seem similar now, but we're going to see them slowly drift apart and become separate. And it's what he was getting at was that Haruichi doesn't have the stamina and training that his older brother has got. And so now you're starting to see the distinction because Haruichi's not trained up enough yet. I appreciate in this show that Haruichi and Ryosuke are not chummy brothers. They're not like, I love you, big brother. I love you, little brother. Let's be attached at the hip. They're really not. They're not usually together in scenes. They're usually separate unless they're on the field, and they have their own friend circles. But Ryosuke, you can tell he's like, did you think it was going to be easy coming here just because I came here? And you can tell there's a little bit of like sibling competitiveness between the two of them, which is really interesting. And you can tell that Ryosuke definitely probably fears his little brother because of his potential, but he's like, I've got the experience on my side, so you're not just taking my place or my friend's place right off the bat. And it's like, I really like that dynamic. But just the training and the stamina and building up the new generation. I like that they're like, you three first years are going to be like the face of the new generation of players after the third years have left. So building up the stamina is really important, especially for Furuya. Furuya makes the comment, he's like, this whole time people keep saying I don't have a lot of stamina. And Sawamura and Furuya at this point have very, very distinct goals. Like Sawamura wants to pitch a ball that makes Chris Senpai proud. He's like, I want to make Chris Senpai proud and pitch a ball and be good in a game. Furuya just wants to pitch. He doesn't want to do anything else. He's like, nah, I just want to be a pitcher. I don't want to do this fielding and whatever. And he's pretty terrible at fielding. So I feel like Sawamura and Furuya are going to have different struggles throughout this, where Furuya's struggle is going to be to accept that he's not going to be on the mound the whole time, and Sawamura's is to be confident and control what he's doing so that he can make Chris Senpai proud. But yeah, Mori, we get Mori, or I think it's Mori instead of Nori. He's one of the pitchers, and Miyuki makes the comment to him. He's like, you should just be more confident. He's like, you have a good style and good, control. You just need to be confident that you're doing good. And so I like Miyuki doing like the complimenting his fellow classmates. And then Miyauchi, or is it Miyauchi? Miyauchi? Is it Miyauchi? I think it's Miyauchi. Hope I'm saying that right. The third year, that's the catcher. He's like, we third years don't have the luxury of another year. Like, this is our last chance. And Tamba this episode, or these last two episodes, really stepping up the fork ball thing. So I'm assuming the fork ball is when you hold it like this, kind of like a fork. And Miyuki makes the comment that if you're bored, Furuya, and you want to shake things up, do it this way. It takes a certain skill and control, but it he made it sound too like it would stress your elbow more because you're stretching these tendons and it's causing your muscle to strain there, and so it's going to cause more stress. So I'm curious, we just established at the beginning of the series that Tamba had an injury and just recovered from the injury. I'm like, Tamba, are you going to hurt yourself all over again by doing this secret pitch that you're only telling Miyauchi about? And Tamba, let's talk about Tamba. He is very interesting in these episodes because, one, he gets mad that Chris isn't playing anymore, and he confronts Chris at the high school, like, oh, you didn't tell everybody your shoulder wasn't fully healed. And Chris is like, well, I kind of just want to play this game. And you can tell Tamba has a little bit of jealousy there, because he's like, I wanted to play with you and form a battery with you. We were the third years. This was supposed to be our year, and you goof off with this first year when your shoulder wasn't fully healed, and now you've lost a place in the first string. Like, you can tell he's very frustrated by that, and I'm sure he blames Sawamura for part of that as well. But Tamba is a very proud person, just from these episodes we've seen him in, and the coach making the comment that there is no true ace to the team, that's like a strike against Tamba right off the bat, because he's supposed to be the ace, right? So I like that Miyuki makes the comment about everybody being egotists, and Tamba is an egotist. He's very much focused solely on his pitching and being the ace and being number one, and is fixated on that. But then he's like, it's the catcher's job to control the egotists. And it's like, ooh! So kind of just like playing him like a fiddle. And Miyuki, when he made that comment to Mori about his pitching, he's kind of like playing him like a fiddle too. Like, oh, you just need to be more confident. And I'm going to compliment you to help make you more confident, right? I find it interesting that Miyuki is not practicing with Sawamura or Furuya yet. He's making Miyauchi practice with them, which is interesting, or they just use the net. So I'm curious if that's going to come up in the next couple of episodes, why he's not been practicing with them. I don't know. But I find that very interesting. I also find it interesting that Tamba does not like Miyuki. And Miyuki does not care for Tamba. Like, neither of them really care for each other. And Tamba's like, you're a second year and you talk back to me? Like, he's so proud. And Miyuki's like, you're just an egotist. So, like, I like that on this team, there's not, like, direct feral animosity where they hate each other. But I like that not everybody's holding hands and singing Kumbaya. There is some dissension amongst the group. And when you have that many people on a team, of course, not everybody's going to get along. And I like that we're establishing these dynamics of, okay, Miyuki and Tamba do not gel. Interesting. And it's kind of compounded by the fact that Tamba doesn't want to practice with Miyuki. He wants to practice with Miyauchi instead. So, I love that. What a troll. Miyuki's such a freaking troll. I love him. And he just sicks Furuya and Sawamura to go socialize with the other classmates. He's like, have fun, I'm going to go sleep. And I like that Kuromochi talks about emailing the girlfriend. And Sawamura's like, I've been too busy to email at all. And Kuromochi's like, well, I've been doing it instead of you. And he's like, what? That was you? It's like, oh. I can only imagine what Kuromochi has been sending Sawamura. But I like that all the third years are like, we want details about this girlfriend right now. And Sawamura's like, she's just a childhood friend. It's like, ah. I love it. Anytime they bring up the girlfriend angle, that's hilarious. I like that Miyauchi says one step from nationals. He mentions that in the episode. So the third years have a fire lit under them because the third and second years because they were one step away from nationals last year before they got stopped. So I'm like, we have our goal, making it to nationals, and we're seeing just exactly how the previous year was leading up to this. So that's very interesting. But I'm going to be honest, y'all, the badass coach stepping up to the plate, and we've established that the third years and second years, they all have had extra stamina from having a whole extra year's worth of practice on our first year trio of Haruichi, Furuya, and Sawamura. And it's like, okay, you third years and second years, you guys got a lot of stamina. You guys are doing really good. And then the coach is like, time to break them. And just shows up. What a badass scene. And he's like, all right, just keep pitching and catching until we're done. And he just keeps hitting the balls over and over again. That whole scene was so amazing. And I love the callback to Yuki. Yuki's not the ace, but he's the captain of the team. He was unanimously picked as the captain. So lead with your plays. He's like, you're the one that's going to lead the team. What say you? So that makes me really interested in knowing. That's kind of a cool foreshadowing maybe, because here's the thing. Furuya and Sawamura, if they're our main two first-year pitchers, it would be cool if by the end of the series we have one of them as the ace, number one, and one of them as the captain, because Yuki's number 3. You have the pitcher is number 1, the catcher's number 2, and then Yuki, I think that's first baseman, is number 3. So how cool would it be if Sawamura, it could either go two ways. It could be Sawamura ending up being the ace and Furuya being team captain, because what a twist that would be. Our introverted, antisocial Furuya becoming leader of the team. But that kind of is his strength. Miyuki calls him out and says, your strength is how dedicated and strong you are. You don't have to be loud or boisterous. You lead with your strength. So that would be cool if either one, Sawamura becomes the ace later on, like in their third year, and Furuya is the captain, number 3. Or it could go vice versa. It could be Furuya becomes the ace and Sawamura, because of his over-exuberance and outgoingness and constant confidence and never say die attitude, becomes the captain, number 3. Either way would be really cool. Either way would be awesome, and I would be all about it. But then whoever was the catcher would be there, because right now they don't have any first years that are catchers. It's all... You've got Miyauchi, who's a third year, and you have Chris, who's a third year, and you have Miyuki, who's a second year. So I don't think they have any first years that are catchers that we know of yet that have been introduced. So that's very, very interesting. But yeah, guys, so cool. I really like these episodes, like this whole training camp from hell, and the idea that it's just a constant state of just battering these guys down. And then the choice of pitching is interesting for this practice game. So I find it interesting, the coach's decision that he's like, okay, first, in the first practice game, when you guys are at your most fatigued, I'm going to have Sawamura, you and Furuya pitch an entire game. And here's the thing. Neither of them have pitched half a game. Furuya did 3 innings before his nails split, which I like that they gave him the nail polish. It's a nice callback to like hand maintenance, like Kageyama and Haikyuu. But he's only pitched 3 innings in a game, and Sawamura's only pitched 3 innings in a game. And usually games are like 9 to 11 innings, right? So they're going to have to pitch twice as much probably than they have pitched so far before, on top of being fatigued. And the coach is like, I don't care if you win or lose. I just want to see how you play when you're the most tired. Interesting. And in the next game, he's going to bring in Tamba. So I'm guessing Miyuki is going to catch in this next game for Sawamura and Furuya. That will be interesting. And then Tamba and Miyauchi will probably do the other game. But yeah, I'm super curious, y'all, how this is going down, how we're doing this. But I'm really excited that the feels in this episode, that first episode was like an emotional, like Sawamura just sobbing all over the place. I'm with you. And then these last 2 episodes have been like boom, 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 getting stuff done. It's like, I'm curious if they're going to keep the same OP and just change the ED. I'm totally fine with that. I like their OP that we've got. I'm assuming we're going to keep the same OP because all those players that we've not seen in the opening that are against Seidou, we haven't seen yet, except for Zaizen. He's been the only one. So yeah, whew, good episodes. Really good. That's gotten me. These may be I keep saying my favorite episodes as the show goes, but they really are. I think this set of episodes is my new favorite. I really like it. I mean, I liked our introduction of Chris, episodes 7 through 9. I mean, I like the last set too, but this set's really good too, as well. So yeah, next time we're going to get the first practice game of this summer training camp from hell and see how our dear first years, Haruichi, Furuya, and Sawamura do. I like that Haruichi, we're getting a little bit of focus on him, that he's starting to be like, if I'm going to catch up with my brother and be just as good, I've got to work harder, and him asking to practice. And of course the brother's within earshot and can hear all that. But so that'll be interesting if we get some more Haruichi focus in the next couple of episodes as well. But I'm curious to know your thoughts down below, what you all thought of the episode. Please no spoilers, but feel free to comment about these episodes down below. Otherwise, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and I'll be back next week with episodes 16 through 18 of Ace of the Diamond. Bye.